Hello, I'm Manisha Lat Gupta from Ananda Permaculture Farm, and I'm here today to answer some of your questions about water management on your land. So let's start off with, if you want to dig a pond, how do you get started? Right? The first thing you need to do is actually understand the contours of your land. You should be able to understand when rain falls, how does it move across your land, which are the high points, which are the low points, and also try to understand a little bit of the watershed beyond your land, like what's happening outside. Right? Is there a hill nearby? Is there a river nearby? Is there a creek or a pond somewhere else where the water is going? So try to understand all that first to identify where is a natural point for the water in your farm to congregate to. You will obviously not want to build a pond on the highest point of your land because no water is going to collect there. So try to see the slopes and find the point which is a natural point for you to dig a pond so that water flows naturally and collects in it. Once you've done that, you should have a sense of what will be the overflow of this pond. When it overflows, where will it go? Right? So is there any shallower place going beyond it, or do you want to build a small outlet and the water will leave your property? But you need to have an outlet because otherwise it will overflow and again get back into your land and you might have some flooding which you don't want. So think about these two things, then start measuring it out, how large it should be, how deep it should be, do a little bit of measurement around that, and finally then you get into execution, where you will have to take the help of an earth mover like a JCB to come and dig out your pond for you, especially if it is very large. The size of the pond should really be dependent on the amount of water coming in, but it is also constrained by the amount of land you have. So let's assume you have only 1 acre of land and you have a lot of water coming in. You obviously cannot build a pond for 1 acre or even half an acre, because then what do you do with the rest of the land? So it's a combination of the size of the land as well as the amount of water that you get. If your pond is too small, you may lose water. If it is too big, it will always stay empty. So neither of those two situations are nice to have. So it's important to be able to do a little bit of calculation and estimate the volume that the pond will hold, and also by the surface area that you have on your land and the rainfall that you get every year, do a calculation to understand how much water is actually falling on your land, and then try to match it. So when we started off with our water management, in the first year we didn't dig any ponds because actually we didn't even know how much water to expect. We were quite shocked when we saw the first monsoon and this rainwater sort of river flowing through our land. So we let that pass. We just managed it with some temporary diversions and channels. And then the minute the monsoon finished, we started planning for the next year's monsoon. And that entailed digging a large pond, which is actually right behind me, which has a capacity of about 10 lakh liters of water. And we dug that pond and built a overflow outlet pipe, which is a concrete pipes, which then take the water out of here and pass it on to the next pond, etc. But this is really the major pond that we built, and that took some amount of planning and 4 days of sitting here with a JCB and getting it dug, and then lining it with a pond liner so that the slopes are actually sort of stabilized and they do not collapse on the pond when the water finally comes in. So that was really our process. And then we also found some low-lying areas in other parts of the land which were naturally low-lying, and we just carved them out into small pools so that water would collect there as well. So that's really been our process. And actually after 2012, which is when we built all this, we've not done any other water management work because it was done pretty nicely, well thought through. We trap now about 40 to 50 lakh liters of water when we have good rain and when we get a runoff from the hills. We manage to store that much water on our land, and the water doesn't stay in the ponds. A lot of it just seeps into the ground, but that doesn't matter, right? The pond is not for you to sort of look at the water and enjoy it. The primary purpose of it is to soak the water into the land, and even if that's happening, you should be happy. And of course, over the years, I think the pond will stabilize and start getting water for a longer period of time. A simple thing to do to manage your water is to build swales all over your property, especially if you have gentle or steep slopes. And swales are very simple to build. They are basically trenches that you build around contour lines, which you find with the help of an A-frame, and they act as speed breakers for the water as it flows downhill. So basically the water slows down and fills up in these swales, then it overflows. So water still flows downhill, but it flows slower and through the soil instead of on top of the soil. So it doesn't carry precious topsoil and go down the hill, but it goes through the soil down the hill, and you get cleaner water in your pond because it's coming filtered through the soil. If you want to know how to make an A-frame, you will see another video on our channel which is tagged below, and will take you to the video on how to make an A-frame and identify contour lines to build swales. Watering the farm is actually a manual operation at Ananda. We have not yet invested in any drip irrigation or sprinklers or any other systems of irrigation, primarily because we managed to get past a large part of the year without really watering, because when we get rains, there is enough capturing of water, which then stays for a long time. Similarly, in the winter also, if we are lucky, we get 2 or 3 rainfalls and we don't really have to water. We need to water things like vegetables, etc. much more often, but we grow all of them in raised beds and they have a lot of mulch. So again, it's not a daily exercise. We need to maybe water once in 3-4 days or maybe even a week, and we tend to do all of this with a hose pipe. So we haven't yet built any fancy water management operations here. Maybe someday we will, but we haven't done that now. So basically we managed to divert all the water towards our pond because we chose to build the pond at a place where water was naturally congregating. So that's really important. But you have to just make swales for the water on the way so that they come sort of filtered and at a slow speed as they flow towards the pond. And then we've built a channel which actually connects the 2-3 ponds that we have, so that the rest of the water flows through the channel into the first pond, overflows into the second pond, overflows into the third pond. So a combination of channels and combination of swales. If you do not have a stormwater runoff coming from somewhere else, like we have a big culvert under the road from which water comes in, if you don't have something like that, you don't need a channel. You basically just need swales. But because we have that rainwater river kind of flowing into our land, we need to have a channel to manage that water. Well, if your underground water is salty, by which I guess you mean alkaline, and that is a problem, and it will continue to be a problem for almost everybody. It's just a sign again for us to remember that rainwater is really the most important water that we can have. So I would recommend that you look at the rainfall in your area. Try to manage that water by building swales, keeping your soils covered, planting a lot of trees. In fact, when you plant a lot of trees, you will find that the rainfall in your area also improves. So it becomes a very virtuous cycle where more trees lead to more rainfall, lead to more water, and you'll become pretty self-sufficient in water over time. Well, the first thing is to build swales and slow down the water and the rainfall. You have to plant trees if you want to do water harvesting, because it's the trees and the roots of the trees which actually hold the water in place. So just doing rainwater harvesting without planting trees, I feel, is just going to be a waste of your time. And thirdly, keep your soils covered, because after you've gone through the effort of harvesting your rainwater, if it's all going to just evaporate, then there is no sort of point, and you'll feel your rainwater harvesting was not good, but actually you've harvested the water but you've just lost it all. So it's like collecting money in a bank. You need to also lock it up, because just putting it there is not good enough. Somebody can just take it and you can lose it to evaporation. I'm not very familiar with drip irrigation, but I do believe that it has a lot of pipes with tiny holes in them, and one of the key things you need to look out for is for the water to always be absolutely clean. Otherwise some of these holes can get blocked with algae or any kind of dirt material. My guess is that the pond water may not help here because the water from the pond may not be absolutely clear of all such material. The unfortunate truth of our farmlands today is that they've all been flattened. It is so sad because the flow of water completely stops when you level your land. But if you already have level land, it's very likely that your land is level, but the land next to you is slightly higher and the one above it is slightly higher. That's usually, it's like big steps which are probably found in your area. What you should do is you should build big trenches or swales around your land so that the water flowing or falling on the land is not spilling over to the neighboring land or flowing downhill, but gets captured in the trenches or the swales that you built around it. That's really what you should do for flat land, and you can do this at regular intervals. You don't have to do it only on the boundary. You can actually make a grid and make sort of trenches in a grid where you can trap the water. So when you start harvesting all this rainwater and it's basically just getting soaked up into your ground, like through your ponds, through your shallow pools or through your swales, what you're doing is actually building groundwater. And the other good thing that you need to do to build groundwater is to plant trees. The reason is because the roots of the trees actually go underground and improve the porosity of your soil. So your soil becomes like a sponge. When water flows in, it actually all the small holes and pores get filled up with water. So just think about if you were to pour a glass of water on a sponge as opposed to be pouring a glass of water on a wooden table. All the water would fall off from the wood, but all of it would get absorbed into a sponge. So your job is to make your earth and your soil like a sponge so that water actually gets soaked up in it. And to do that, you need to plant trees. Okay, watering plants is the same whether the plants are in your beds or in the nursery. In the bed, the root structure is far wider, so they have far more resilience. In a nursery, within the bag, the root structure is kind of constrained to your bag, so they are more vulnerable to dying. So nursery would require probably daily plant watering, but in the bed, if it's mulched well, it can probably survive for several days without watering.
And the other is how to prevent losses from evaporation. You say that, right?
Actually, water stays longer in ponds if the soil is clayey and the pond has a slightly clayey bottom. It's a little bit like a ghada. But sometimes your soil is sandy, like for example ours is sandy, and therefore it takes years for that clay layer to actually develop, what we call a thalla locally, to have that kind of a impermeable layer which comes up at the bottom and stops the water from going through. So that will take years to build, and as plants and other trees etc. start growing around it, you will find that the ecosystem itself of the pond will ensure that water stays longer within it. Similarly, as trees on the periphery of the pond grow, they provide a huge shade cover on top of the pond, and that will stop your evaporation losses. You're right in believing that a lot of the water is lost to evaporation. That's true. And the only way to stop it is to actually plant trees, bamboos or any green cover around your pond. So thanks for watching this video on water management. It is definitely one of the most important parts of farming. And in fact, I would say that it's one of the most important things all of us should be thinking about, whether we live in a city or in a rural area, because water is going to be a very scarce resource in the coming years, and all of us should be conscious of how to save water for ourselves and for the future generations. So thanks for watching, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel if you like this video. Bye-bye.